Without any hip movement, you cannot think of any kind of physical activity, right? Sometimes we forget how we move our hips while walking, running, or doing more complex tasks such as climbing stairs. It's because from our childhood we have been used to it. Moreover, our body and mind are accustomed to it in such a way that we have forgotten that we have a hip. However, wiggling hips are sometimes a matter of beauty, no doubt. We take pleasure watching it while someone's hips are wiggling like waves of the ocean. Not only that, as long as any type of physical intimacy is concerned, hip movement is a must. You know it. Perfectly aware of the functions of our hip movement while having intimate moments. So 3 cheers for our hips, hip hip hooray. But when you are alone, moving your own hip in a certain direction doesn't help in any way. Only when we exercise we sometimes do that. But for more intimate acts, you need a partner who is also eager to participate in the same activity, and the joint effort culminates into a successful physical adventure. In some cases, sadly enough though, your partner remains stiff while you are moving your hips alone, and which could have been an adventure, ultimately becomes a misadventure. A nightmare perhaps, thanks to your partner's non-cooperation. As a result, some people opt for humanoid partners. It is for sure, they will never give up cooperation. On the contrary, they are ready 24/7 to participate in any type of physical joint actions. A humanoid robot will only stop when its batteries are exhausted. So make sure it's fully charged before you start moving your hips. As human beings, we are curious by birth, and we all have some kind of intelligence also. As a result, some scientific curiosity got the better of me, and I tried to know how humanoid robots are designed to replicate human hip movement. No doubt, one of the most important joints in these robots is the hip. Just like in humans, the robot's hip plays a key role in how it walks, runs, or climbs stairs, and even when it participates in any joint action with you. Let's take a closer look at how the robot's hip moves during these activities. So let's get into the topic, how your robot partner moves its hip.
Hello and welcome to Gunset, a channel for intelligent and curious people like you. Before we proceed, let me tell you one thing. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. It means a lot to me. And if you have already subscribed, tons of thanks for your support.
Let's not forget that just like humans, when a humanoid robot walks, its hips perform a critical task. Why? Because the robot's hip joint, like a human's, is a ball and socket joint. This allows the robot's leg to swing forward and backward. To move smoothly, the robot must coordinate its hip with its other joints, the knees and ankles. Don't forget, movement of any joint is actually a coordinated movement of many other joints. As the robot steps forward, the hip moves in a controlled arc. This motion helps transfer the weight from one leg to the other. At the same time, the robot's pelvis shifts sideways to maintain balance. Now forget about the hip movement while having intimacy. Believe me, running is a more complex task. The hip joint in a running robot has to work faster and with more force. How does a robot manage to do that? The answer lies in sensors. The robot uses sensors to adjust the hip's movement dynamically. Watch any video on humanoid robots. I always emphasize that sensors play one of the most important roles in robots' movement. There are hundreds and thousands of sensors that might be there depending on the advancement of robotics. These sensors help the robot detect its speed and the pressure it's putting on the ground. And the same thing happens in bed. But climbing stairs is another challenge. When climbing, the robot's hip must bend more than in walking or running. The hip flexes, allowing the leg to lift high enough to reach the next step. Think of a robot riding, acting, sitting on the top. The robot's sensors ensure that the hip doesn't move too much, which could cause a fall. So, How does the robot control this movement? Here comes another big player, motor. The hip joint is powered by motors. But motors are not alone. These motors are driven by a combination of actuators, which provide force, and sensors, which provide feedback. Now, what are actuators? Actuators are devices that convert energy into movement. A little bit of physics is involved here. But don't worry, any type of intimacy fails without physics. It's a physical science blending with biology. In the robot's hip, they work with electric motors to rotate the joint. But how does a robot know that it should mimic human movement? Without any prior instruction, it's not possible, right? Therefore, another instrumental component of robotics enters the arena: algorithm. These motors are controlled by algorithms that mimic human movement patterns. Actually, a robot is fed with all possible human hip movement patterns so that it gets trained on those models. Based on those models, sensors provide feedback to the robot's brain. They monitor the robot's position, balance, and velocity. This feedback helps the robot adjust its movement in real time, making walking, running, or climbing look natural. Suppose you are lying below, and it is riding on you playfully, of course, not with any dirty intention. It's a complex task, no doubt, but for more complex tasks, such as walking on uneven terrain, the robot's hip moves even more dynamically. The algorithms continuously adjust the robot's posture, making small changes to the angle and speed of the hip to maintain balance. Researchers around the world are working to improve these mechanisms. For example, a study explores the use of machine learning to predict hip movement for more fluid walking patterns. This helps robots move more naturally, just like humans. So what is the ultimate goal? Ultimately, the goal is to make humanoid robots move in a way that's almost indistinguishable from humans, even in your homely atmosphere. By improving the mechanics of the hip, robots can walk, run, and climb with more precision and efficiency. Don't forget, from controlling balance to coordinating with the other joints, the hip joint is central to a robot's ability to perform physical tasks. As technology advances, we can expect even more realistic movements and a future where humanoid robots seamlessly interact with our world, even in our fantasy. Thanks for watching. Understanding how a robot's hip works is just the beginning. As we continue to improve these technologies, we move closer to creating robots that can help us in daily life, from healthcare to various industries. Stay tuned for more insights into robotics. See you in the next video. Till then, take care and stay safe.